thank you guys so much for joining us today. My name is Samantha Fisher. I'm the head of marketing and recruiting here at Harrity. I'm joined by Harrity partner Neil Cardos. So typically Sean Lomo is also in here. He's our software product manager, and him and his team of developers have been working really tirelessly to create these awesome custom software solutions that our attorneys and agents and support teams are all using within the firm. Our clients are using them, other law firms are using them, really with the goal of increasing efficiency, accuracy, and quality of our patent work. So these tools really allow for professionals to spend more time on the value add portions of patent preparation and prosecution by taking out some of the menial repetitive tasks. We're never trying to replace the job of the patent professional, but we do want to help increase their productivity, for both the individual and the firm at large. So where Neil comes in, he's actually been using these tools since their inception. He's on our drafting team and pushing out tons of applications. He is using them regularly. He's also regularly testing out the beta versions of all the new updates that Sean and his team develop and providing constant feedback. These are like living, breathing tools. They're constantly evolving. So we do want this to be interactive. If you have any suggestions, any things you'd like to see, Neil, of course, will show you anything that you want within the tool set, but we'd love to get your feedback as well, because we are constantly updating these and making them better and better. So Neil will show you some of the tools and really just kind of show you how we've been able to use automation to transform and streamline the patent process. After the demo, we'll open it up for a live Q&A, but you can feel free to send in questions throughout, especially if it's about a certain feature. I'll field the questions as we go along, and then we'll be able to kind of have an open discussion when we finish up here. This is going to be recorded, so if you have to drop off a little bit early, no worries at all. I'll send an email out to everybody once it's finished, and you can feel free to share the recording with your colleagues or anybody else that might be interested. So now I will pass it over to Neil to show us some of the tools.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Samantha. So hi, everybody. My name is Neil Cardos. I'm a partner at Harrity. I've been in the patent field for about 14 years, with the past 9 of those with Harrity. And so as Samantha mentioned, my team and I here draft a high volume of patent applications, and we use Patent Drafter every day to help with that. So like many of you, we've always thought, there's got to be a better way. Why am I copying and pasting and reformatting claims to build a summary section, an abstract, and a flowchart? Why am I racking my brain to remember the matter number of that similar app that I worked on so that I can copy the figure in the description? And then when I find it, please let it be the same figure number so that I don't need to renumber everything. Why am I spending all this time on the mundane, low-value activities instead of focusing my time on the high-value, fun stuff like drafting claims and explaining the invention? So we've been searching for a better way for years. We couldn't really find it, so we decided to create it with Patent Drafter. So one thing to keep in mind as I do this demo is that there are some higher value activities when preparing a patent application, and there are some lower value activities. What we're trying to do with Patent Drafter is to minimize the time spent on those low value activities so that patent practitioners can focus on the high value activities, like exploring the invention with the inventors, drafting really good claims, and really fully fleshing out all the details of the invention and all the alternatives in the patent application. So one other thing to keep in mind is that these tools aren't perfect. They work really well for us at Harrity. They work really well for our customers, but we're kind of always encountering new situations that require us to fine tune the tools. There are so many different ways to draft a patent application, right? So we're regularly adding new features to kind of address those situations. And we're always looking for feedback on any features that folks would like to see. So let me share my screen here and I can start doing the demo. Samantha, just give me a thumbs up when you can see. Cool. All right. So Patent Drafter is an add-in for Microsoft Word and for Microsoft Visio, because that's what most attorneys are using and are familiar with. Patent Drafter is actually a suite of tools that lives in the ribbon in Word and Visio, and I'll show you what most of these tools here do. So the first thing I want to show is a unified library for storage of templates or shell documents, whatever you want to call them. You can find that here under New Document. And so what this is really a library that you can load with any type of document that you want. In this demo, I primarily show specification templates and claim templates, which can be different for different clients or different attorneys at different clients or different partners of the firm, whatever it may be. But you can also use this for office action response templates, for checklists, for claim charts, really anything you want, any document that you want to standardize across your firm or your company. And everything here is searchable and filterable. So if I click, for example, I start typing demo here, there's a couple of demo applications that come up. So for this demo today, I'm going to use this demo application, which is basically a patent application template with a title, some description here, and a few claims filled in at the end. So then in Visio, I can do the same thing. I'll pull up Visio here. I can click on Patent Drafter in the ribbon, click on New Document, and then I click on this Demo Visio template, and it's going to open up. It opens it up separately on my other screen. But this is basically a blank Visio template, but commonly we would have some maybe baseline figures that we would fill in one of these templates. So going back to my Word document, I've inserted at the end a single claim set with 7 method claims. So that's kind of typically where the workflow starts. You would draft the claims, and then we have a few tools in the ribbon here to help with claim drafting. So the first is this patent application panel, which you can pull up here. And this has a claim tree where you can kind of easily see the claims, you can navigate the claims, you can view dependencies. For example, I want to jump down to claim 7. I click that here, and there I am. I want to jump back up to claim 1. You can kind of see the dependencies by the indentation and kind of all the limitations and whatnot. And then we also have this elements tab. So this is a new feature that we added pretty recently. It checks for inconsistent reference numbers and acronyms. And we're currently working on kind of building this out to do some additional error checking, like other tools you would see, like a Claim Master or Patent Bots or whatever. So, you know, we have here some yellow warnings. There's a test device 610 and a test device 620 in this application. I can click on that and kind of navigate there. And that may be okay. You know, it might be, you might have a couple, you know, different, same name with different reference numbers. That might be okay, or it might not be, but that's why it's a warning. This other one here shows up in red. And if I kind of click on what this is, well, why is this in red? Well, we have a first device 710 and a second device 710, which is showing up as an error. So, you know, to fix that, I could just change this to, you know, now we have first device 710, second device 720. The tool automatically updates, and now everything looks good. So that's something that we're kind of currently working on. It's one of our high priority things to add some additional error checking to that. So jumping back to my claims in this patent application panel. So one of the things that we can do that we found to be really useful is mirror the claims. So again, I have 7 method claims here. And let's say I wanted to add some claims. I would click on this mirror button. And then there's a wizard that kind of walks me through everything I need to do here. So it's identified we have 7 method claims. Let's say I want to mirror them all for this demo. What kind of claim type do I want to mirror this into? Let's say computer readable medium, device, and mean score. This method claim I already have. And then I could also drag these around to change the order. So if I want the device claims to show up next after the method claims, I just drag that here. So the order will be device, then computer readable medium, then mean score. So I click next. Then there's some intelligence built into Patent Drafter. So it's figured out that the network device is the name of the device that we're kind of interested in here. And the way it's done that is we have this method that has 4 steps: receiving, determining, and initiating. And these are all done by a network device. So it's kind of figured out that's probably the device I care about. So that's what it's suggested here for these other types of claims. So I click next, and it's going to insert, I guess, 21 claims here. And so, so this claim 8 is a network device claim. Now that name came from intelligently figuring out that's what we care about from this claim 1. But as I mentioned, there are steps here: receiving, determining, initiating. Down here, we have a network device with memories and processors configured to receive, determine, initiate. So it's done kind of all the conjugation of the verbs. It's added this kind of custom preamble. Let's say it's not really a preamble, but it's kind of in the body of the claim, but it's, the hardware type language that it's added in. And then it has all the dependencies correct. The network device of claim 8. This one down here, 12, is the network device of claim 11. That's because down here in the method claims, we had claim 4, and then claim 5 depends from claim 4. So it gets all the dependencies correct. It gets all kind of the conjugation of verbs. It's removed, by a network device because it's moved that up here to the preamble. And similar for our computer readable medium claims, there's kind of some customizable language here. One or more instructions that, when executed, cause the network device to, again, receive, determine, initiate. We have all our dependent claims here referring back to the computer readable medium with correct dependencies. And this is our means for claim. So this has been converted to means for receiving, means for determining, etc. And again, with the dependent claims having the correct dependencies. So, it saves some time to mirror the claims. And another thing that we can do, let's say now we have too many claims, let's say, or we get feedback that we should remove a claim or something like that. So that's pretty easy to update the claim numbers. Let's say we want to take out this claim 7 for whatever reason. Now you see we have claim 7 is a network device. And now these dependencies, you have the network device here of claim 8. To update all the dependencies, we just click this update claim numbers here. And then we're going to have everything depending from the correct claim. So, as I mentioned, we're really saving time on kind of the annoying stuff like duplicating claims and renumbering claims so that the patent practitioner can focus their time on drafting really good claims. So after the claims are done, then we'll draft our drawings and specification, and we have tools to help with that as well. So in the ribbon, there are 4 tools here that help with auto-generating parts of the specification. And there are 2 tools here that auto-generate drawings, with one of these also auto-generating part of the specification. So I'll kind of walk you through these tools. First up is the abstract generator. So that's pretty straightforward. I could generate an abstract with separate sentences or with a single sentence separated by semicolons. This kind of depends on the style that your client prefers or you prefer. And there's other kind of customizable styles that can be added in here. For our purposes, I'll just click this abstract with separate sentences. It asks me to pick what claim I want to generate the abstract from. I'll just go with claim 1 there. And then again, the intelligence is built in. And so it's generating the abstract. If it was too long, it would give me a pop-up, a warning that, this is more than 150 words. So for the abstract here that's generated, is in some implementations, a network device may receive a network configuration profile, blah, blah, blah. The network device may determine, the network device may determine, the network device may initiate. So this is kind of all generated automatically based on the claim language. And this language here, this kind of intro language, is customizable if you want it or not, or if you want to say something else like embodiments or aspects or, whatever the flavor of the week is. So that's the abstract generation. We have something also for summary generation. So if I jump up to the beginning of my document, kind of put my cursor where I want that summary to show up, I click summary. Again, there's a few different styles here. I'll just show this generic summary, which just generates based on the independent claims. So I want to select all these claims. And you see the intelligence again built into the system, identifying, which claims are there and what type they are. And so this is going to generate, I guess, four summary paragraphs, puts them right here. In some implementations, a method includes receiving, blah, blah, blah. The network device includes memories and processors configured to blah, blah, blah. The computer readable medium paragraph, the apparatus paragraph. It's all here. So, we could make these separate sentences like the abstract, just for this particular template or style that I picked. It's just all single sentence. Again, this language is kind of customizable. So up here, then in the ribbon, I've done the abstract, the summary, this flowchart description I'll come back to. And then we also have boilerplate generation. So what this does is it generates text that doesn't have a figure to accompany it. So I'll give a few examples here. Like, let's say this background section, for example, let's say it's application related to the Internet of Things. So I put my cursor here, click on Internet of Things, and it's going to insert some just kind of generic stock language that gives background on what the Internet of Things is. So the Internet of Things is a system of interrelated computing devices, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of just straight up adding boilerplate text to the document. There's also some other interesting things that can be done with boilerplate. So say, for example, that I want to put in a priority claim. So I can either double click this or click it and click insert. Want to put a priority claim in here. Now, when you insert a priority claim, it's not going to know like what are the application number and the filing date and that kind of stuff. So this boilerplate can also be generated with comments, useful things to help the drafter, like, hey, you need to fill this stuff in. We don't automatically know this stuff. Another way to do this is with variables. So we also have that option. I'll show you an example of that. Let's say I have language for a mobile device. Let's say I use mobile device all the time in all different applications, but it's never the same reference number, or it's, can be different reference numbers across different applications. So I go to insert that language, and it's going to ask me, well, what's the reference number for mobile device? Let's say it's reference number 210. Okay. And so it's going to insert the language for a mobile device. And everywhere that it mentions that, it's going to put in this 210, the mobile device 210, mobile device 210, et cetera. And again, this is, comments that can be inserted for the drafter. Kind of a cool feature here. It's actually pulled this language from the title, selecting network mode for network device. So there's kind of some interesting things that we can do with variables and text insertion. So I'll move now to the tools that interact with Visio. So we have up here a drawing generator. So we found that some drawings can be reused or tweaked slightly across applications. So we have a library of figures and corresponding text that we can easily drop into an application. So let's say this application relates to cloud computing technology. So I'll click on this drawing. I'll go down to the section of the spec where I want to insert this, let's say right here. And I want to show you too what happens with Visio. So let's see if I can kind of split the screen here. And so I go to insert this, let's say, cloud computing environment, because that's what this application relates to. Double click on that. Now it's going to prompt me to ask me, well, what is the figure number for this cloud computing figure? I say it's figure 2. Okay. So now within my within Patent Drafter, it's going to insert the language for that figure 2, and within Visio, it's inserted this drawing figure 2 that has kind of all the correctly labeled reference numbers, 200, 201, et cetera. And that corresponds to the numbers that have been inserted here, system 201, computing system 202, et cetera. And again, there's notes here. Here's a helpful note about what this figure is about. And then some notes on, hey, here's the custom stuff, right? There may be other devices probably involved with your cloud computing environment. and you're going to want to fill in the details of those. But all the details of this cloud computing system have been filled in for you. And then there's some sections here to fill in some custom text that is custom to this application. So if I had said, I want this to be figure 3, it would put in figure 3. I'll just show you an example of that. So let's say after this cloud computing figure, I have, let's call it a generic hardware components figure for figure 3. So this is going to look similar, but it's going to ask me a figure number. This time I'll say 3. Okay. The Visio here pops up with figure 3 here with some generic, here's my figure 2. Here's figure 3 with the generic computing environment. And again, the text here in the Word document is, device 300, bus 310, processor, memory, etc. A few sections maybe to fill in manually. But other than that, it kind of explains all these generic components that you might use across multiple applications. So, again, for customization, we're not trying to replace the patent attorneys. We're really trying to not trying to draft the entire patent application, but really just kind of making the job easier and faster by drafting portions of the specification and figures. So the next tool up here, the next drawing tool is for a flow chart. So let me show you that next. And I just have one style here, this generic flow chart. There could be other styles that you might have. But again, it's going to walk me through, well, what claim do you want to use for the basis for your flow chart? Let's say the method claim. What's the figure number here? Let's make it just the next figure, figure 4, finish. And it's going to take this Visio and insert figure 4, which is my flowchart figure. And again, it's kind of received by a network device, determine, initiate. And again, this is customizable. Like some of our clients don't want where-in clauses necessarily in the flowchart steps, so we can take those out. Or this network device, we can take that as well. There's just a lot of different ways to customize this. We also have the flowchart description. So I skipped over this before. So this is for the specification, the flowchart description. Again, I just have one style here. And so this is going to ask me a few more questions. Again, what are the claims that I want to use for the basis for this description of the flowchart? Again, say we'll go with claims 1 through 6. I'll click next. And it's going to ask me, do you want support for multiple dependent claims? That's kind of a very nuanced thing for EP practice, but I'll click yes, and I'll show you what that is. Again, the figure number, it's figure 4 here. Now, this particular flowchart description style or template is customized to work with this generic hardware figure that I've inserted. So it asked me, what's the number for that figure? In our case, it was figure 3. Again, the intelligence to figure out the network device is what we care about here. And so now it's inserting 12 paragraphs here. There's kind of an intro paragraph. Figure 4 is a flow chart of an example process 400. Again, kind of getting all the reference numbers right associated with, and this pulls from the title, like the other example I showed. There's some intelligence because I didn't insert anything about what the network device reference number is. It asks me about that. Again, this is integrated with the hardware figure that I already inserted. So that language is here. And then we kind of go through each of the steps. That's shown in figure 4. Process 400 may include receiving, blah, blah, blah. That's block 410. Process 400 may include determining, blah, blah, blah. That's block 420. Block 430, block 440. That aligns with, what's in the flow chart here. And then we kind of have support for each of the dependent claims and kind of all the combinations of dependent claims. That's kind of that multiple dependency thing, which can be useful for EP practice. For example, in a third implementation, alone or in combination with one or more of the first and second implementations. And then this is kind of the language of one of the dependent claims. So that's pretty useful. Saves a lot of time in generating the flowcharts and the descriptions of the flowcharts. And again, this is just one way of doing it. We can kind of customize based on the style. For us, we have bunch of different clients with a bunch of different preferences. So each of them has kind of slightly different templates. We also have, or in development, early stages of some prosecution tools. So I'll show you that. Just kind of going down to the claim here, and I'll turn on track changes. And let's say I want to make some amendments to this claim during prosecution. Let's say I delete a couple things. And then, this might be useful for reviewing the application, like internally at your firm, or for your client to review to kind of see what changes you made, what amendments you made. But then when you go to file with the PTO, you'll probably want to kind of convert this to the USPTO black line. So we have a button for that. And it kind of just converts everything to black line for the USPTO, and you can kind of go ahead and then just file this. We also have some form generation. I'm not going to show that right now. I've been talking for a while, and I want to see if there's kind of other feedback or questions from folks. But it's basically automatic form filling. We can, automatically fill out like the ADS or fee transmittal, really any sort of patent office document that you might file, and it pulls from your docketing system. So we use Foundation IP. So this pulls from Foundation IP and kind of fills in things like, the inventor names and addresses and the title and all that kind of information from the docketing system to make it a lot easier to prepare documents for filing. So now if I kind of show you this document as a whole, we were kind of able to fill in a lot of sections, right, of fill in a lot of this patent application automatically based on the claims or based on some kind of boilerplate or commonly used figures. Of course, there are some sections that are going to be manually drafted, like the technical problem, the technical solution, the invention details, how the invention actually works, the alternatives, and some figures that will likely be custom created for this application. Again, we're not trying to replace patent practitioners. We're really trying to enhance what they're capable of and really focus their time on the more meaningful tasks, and also, quite frankly, just kind of make the job more fun. It's pretty cool to be able to click a button and have all these things auto-generated. So I often get feedback about time savings. And what we found at Harrity is that we're saving somewhere between, I would say, 2 hours to 5 hours per application, depending on the experience level of the drafter, plus at least 30 minutes of support staff time with the automatic form filling. And we actually did a time study with our most experienced people comparing 2018 numbers to 2019 numbers. And we started using these tools in 2019. And those people were able to save 2 hours per application in 2019 with Patent Drafter as compared to 2018 without it. And that's pretty consistent with what our customers have found as well. So that's kind of all I had prepared to show. I don't know if there were any, I don't see any questions yet, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat here or the Q&A, and I'm happy to address any questions. And if not, that's fine too.
Anything we can get answered for you guys. Give it one more minute here while I wrap up. So if you do think of another question, please feel free to shoot them in right now. But we really appreciate everybody spending their afternoon with us here for a little bit to see these tools. Again, I'll be sending out a recording of this demo to everybody who attended today. If you do have any follow-up questions, if you'd like to license the tool, if you'd like to learn more about it or want a private demo on certain features or to show colleagues, anything like that, I'll include Neil as well as Sean's information in the email, Sean can ask any technical questions, or if there's anything that maybe you'd like to see in the tool that we didn't show you today, Sean can also try to work on getting that in there. Okay, so here's a question regarding time saving on the prosecution side. Do you have any data for that, Neil, regarding?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't. So Rose asked, what time savings have you noticed when using your automation tools for responses to office actions? I actually don't have any data on that, and that's an interesting question. We've really been focused on the application drafting side of things, and really just kind of starting to get into the office action responses. And one of the things is you can kind of fill in, generate a shell with kind of bibliographic data filled in from your docketing system, which is nice. And if there are kind of templates that you're using for different clients, you can kind of pull those office action response templates in through the library that I showed at the beginning of documents. You may have different templates for non-final response versus a final response versus a restriction requirement, right? So you can kind of just have it all there in the panel and pull it up. And if you have those three documents for like each client, you can kind of just easily search and find the right one. And it can be filled in with bibliographic data and kind of a shell for what the office action would look like, and kind of add and delete stuff as necessary. And boilerplate can easily be created. Like if there's common arguments that you make or common paragraphs that you put in for, a 103 or 101 or whatever, the boilerplate tools can be used to kind of just double click and drop that language in. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's actually something we should, we just haven't really deployed it or investigated it too much at Harrity, at least. So you raise a good point. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's definitely a use case for it there.
Thanks, Rose. Any other questions before we wrap up here?
Yeah, Charles said, thanks. Developed some great technology. Time savings sound compelling. Very intuitive. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that.
All right, awesome. Well, if you guys think of any other questions, again, I'll send out everyone's contact info. Feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to also connect with us on LinkedIn. I'll include those as well. Neil always posts a lot of really great time-saving tips to his personal page, and they're shared on the Harrity page as well. So obviously you are somewhat interested in best practices and efficiency if you join this webinar. So be sure to check those out. And thank you again for your time this afternoon. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.